What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to Comic Book Nerd Nation, episode number 71 this time. We got a small crew. Just myself, Fox2, and Topher.
That's all you really need.
That's it. That is all you really need. We had
some
serious situations this week trying to get recorded. Me oversleeping. Schedules not. Yeah, that's what I said. Schedule's not lining up. It's just like one thing after another. We're literally recording this the night before it's supposed to release. So, yeah, we're just going to kind of go by the
wait until the last minute.
Yeah. Speaking of waiting till the last minute, maybe that's a good lead-in to the tabletop game of the week. Maybe that's where we start.
See, I thought you were going to forget this week.
Yeah.
So since you did mention it right after mentioning that you overslept the other day, I'm going to we're going to go a little different here with the game that we here at the Comic Book Nerd Nation podcast made up, and by that I mean me and Brian, and by that I mean it's not necessarily a game, but
we'll take it.
So the other morning when Fox didn't show up, it was just me and Brian sitting there texting back and forth trying to figure out where exactly Fox was, and so we started.
And the whole time myself and Pirate are privy to seeing these messages because it's in a group message.
Yeah, it's a Facebook chat basically, and we just keep going back and forth, and we suggested it was kind of fun actually, because that was on
4
Saturday.
days ago.
And today is Tuesday, and it's still going. Basically, we've just been going back and forth, coming up with reasons why Fox possibly missed the original recording session. They're mostly all variations on comic book reasons. Like, let's see here. Brian started off asking if he was dead because he tried to give himself gamma radiation, turning himself into the Hulk. I then went with something from Convergence that just came out this past week, and said maybe Brainiac stole the city and moved it with him in it to a sentient planet out of time and space. And then we kept going back and forth, and maybe different times and places. I mean, this conversation, there's pages and pages. Maybe Shadow King had him imprisoned in the astral plane. Maybe he was stuck in his cocoon after Terrigenesis. At this point, I don't think either of us really wants to stop because we don't want to be the one that quit. Yeah. At this point, it's this game.
It's
almost a game. It's like this game of comic knowledge chicken. We're
like
just going
war
back
of attrition.
and forth. Yeah. Can we? How long can we keep this going? Which one of us is going to not be able to come up with another comics reference?
Dare I ask
first?
that our viewers, some of our diehard fans, chime in and give us a comic book related reason as to why perhaps I didn't make it to the original recording on Sunday morning. Leave that in the comments section below. I'm interested. If we get some really good ones, we'll read it. We'll read them on the next episode, on episode number 72 next week. So put your Brainiac caps on, if you will, and leave some good comic book related reasons as to why I didn't make it on Sunday morning for the original slated time to record this episode.
We're pretty sure the only one we can rule out so far is that you're not a Skrull.
That's so we haven't yet ruled out that I'm dead from gamma ray radiation.
Correct.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to clear that up.
Well, there's another one in here that maybe you're not, or you're not Fox 2 anyway. That your Ben Reilly was actually the real you all along, and you're just a clone.
Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. So let's all right. Let's jump in and talk about what we've been reading. I'll start. I haven't read a damn thing. I recently got back from vacation, so I've been busy kind of getting things back in order, work. Unfortunately, the real world beckons, bills have to be paid, things of that nature. So I haven't got to read any comic books. I'm pretty far behind. I guess I'm I'm not real far behind, but there's definitely a handful of things that I desperately want to get caught up on. Batman Eternal being at the very top of the list.
I
Green
believe the
Lantern stuff.
last issue of that just came out this past week, number 52.
It did, and I really, I've enjoyed that series all the way through. So I'm looking forward to reading that. I'm looking forward to getting caught up on Green Lantern. Um, Convergence, the first Zero issue came out. I want to read that. There's a handful of other things that are out there that I really want to get dive into. I just haven't had the time yet. I'm hoping later this week, maybe this weekend, I'll be able to kind of carve out a little bit of time to sit down and for a couple hours read as many comics as I can possibly cram into the day. So for now, unfortunately, I did not get to read anything. What about you?
Boring.
I know.
I did not slack anywhere nearly as bad as you did, and by that I mean speaking of waiting till the last minute, waited till the last minute, and while waiting for you to show up on Saturday, read one comic book, which puts me infinitely times more comic books read.
Ooh, is
that than you.
That's Convergence too?
It is. This is Convergence number 0.
All right. Well, give us the rundown then. I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
So I don't know exactly the history. I kind of jumped into this without really having. It focuses on Superman, and I don't really read Superman. So I guess something recently happened with Superman and Brainiac and a Doomsday virus, and apparently Superman was fighting Brainiac, and Brainiac infected him with a Doomsday virus, and something happened, and there was a black hole. I don't know where this happened. I don't know if it was in Superman or Action Comics or Justice League or wherever the hell it might have happened. But the issue basically starts out with Superman in some weird void in the middle of nowhere. Like there's just nothing. There's a whole bunch of nothingness. And he encounters this giant being all of a sudden in front of him that somewhat resembles a much larger, almost alternate reality looking Brainiac, and basically Superman's kind of a jerk this whole issue. Like I don't really read a whole lot of Superman, and maybe this is why, because like I don't really care for Superman, but the whole issue he's like, where am I? Tell me where I am. I'm gonna punch you. You know, like it's like is punching like really is that your go-to? Is that all you got? You know, the hero of truth, freedom, the American way, and it's enforced all by just a lot of punching. I mean,
yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
I guess that's how it works here in America. You just punch somebody till they see your way of thinking.
Well, you know.
But so basically, there's some they talk back and forth. Superman's kind of imprisoned, and this Brainiac-ish character kind of reveals that he's this sort of almost omnipotent, godlike being, and that they are currently existing somewhere outside of space and time, and he imprisons Superman on this planet, and then goes and leaves to do something that he doesn't really divulge to Superman. So Superman's trying to break free, and encounters another guy that looks like a more standard-sized Brainiac. Again, not quite the same as his Brainiac from his universe, and he's trying to figure out what's going on, and this Brainiac shows him a city. He's like, oh, you're trying to get back to Metropolis? I've got several of those, and like turns around and poof, like a giant metropolis in a dome, like comes up out of the earth, and Superman's like, wait, that's not my Metropolis. It looks different, and there's it's like an alternate universe version of the city,
right.
and the Brainiac guy's like, he's like, we collect different cities that are, at the right before their moment of destruction in their universes and timelines. We save them here, and Superman's like, no, you have to set them free, and Brainiac's like, why? That would destroy them. You'd rather see them dead and destroyed than, preserved here. And, like they kind of go back and forth, and it's just, it's kind of interesting. Like the
Sounds like a
dialogue.
moral struggle almost.
Yeah, I mean the script is they touch on that a little bit, but I mean this is a zero issue. It's not a number one. Like they're setting the stage for something. It's kind of an intro here, so they don't really. There's not a whole lot of depth to this issue. It's kind of more like like, oh, we need a jumping in point. We need an excuse for this story we're about to do. So let's kind of set the stage. It's not bad. The artwork is decent. The artwork's pretty solid, actually. It's good. But and the script is fine. There's some more thoughtful moments in it, and I like the dialogue. But there's nothing really new here in terms of ideas. I mean, a lot of I was reading this, and if you ever read Marvel's Secret Wars back in the from the mid '80s. It's the same idea, and I mean, Marvel is doing another Secret Wars now that's pretty much the same idea, and it's kind of a similar idea to DC's, Crisis on Infinite Earths that they did in the mid '80s. So it's I it's supposed to be like this big, huge crossover, and I want to like it, and I'll probably read it because it'll be interesting to see what they do. But at the same time, like. There's nothing new here, and it's hard to get too excited about this or about Marvel Secret Wars here that's coming up in a month, about the event itself, because it's been done before. Like they're basically forming Battle World here. It's like a planet that exists outside of space and time. You put a bunch of cities in it from varying alternate universes and timelines. You put them all together on the same planet, and then you let them fight it out to prove which one's the best, or which one wins, or which one gets to survive, or see what happens with them.
To me, it really just feels like they're pulling something from the past that they've done before that could help them find a way to using a story start over, like start fresh, like kind of wipe the slate, not clean, but to where they want it to be able to take off, on certain storylines from different places and different times, and go from there.
Well, they've got a list in the back of the book of all the different cities from the different universes that are going to be here, and most of them are variations on either Metropolis or Gotham. But like the pre-Flashpoint Gotham City is going to be in there. So like, everything like the standard DC universe pre-New 52 is going to be in there too. So some people have been saying, well, I think that maybe they're going to restore the old continuity, and I guess it's possible, but I don't see them doing that at this point. I mean, like they've got Flashpoint Gotham City, pre-Flashpoint Gotham City, then there's like Gotham from the Injustice universe, Gotham post-Flashpoint, pre-Crisis Earth 1 Gotham City. They've got a bunch of other random ones like Earth C minus with Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew. Again, like random fun weird comics from decades ago. Atlanta, Georgia from the original Jonah Hex. Like some pre-Crisis 30th Century Metropolis with Cosmic Boy and Saturn Girl from Adventure Comics 247 in 1958. I mean, so they're kind of pulling stuff from all over the place, and it's going to be interesting because I don't know, like it's the interesting thing here to me is going to be whether it's interesting or not, and that sounds kind of like a paradox, but like, DC's done this before, Marvel's done this before, now they're both doing it again at the same time. And so it's like, really, I'm less interested in the story itself and more interested to see, who can do a better job of making it seem like it's not something rehashed that the competition's doing at the same time. Like it's just hard for any of this to really seem that original, or earth shaking. And I don't know whether it's going to be earth shaking or not. I get the feeling that my own personal opinion is that DC isn't really doing this much to change things or shake things up. They're doing it, because probably to take the wind out of Marvel sails a little bit and do something similar to what they're doing. And right now, DC is in the process of moving their offices from New York to California. They're moving to, what is it, San Francisco? San Diego?
I had not heard about this, honestly.
Yeah, the DC main office is moving from New York to California, and so this event is kind of being published while they're in the process of the move. So, because of the move, it almost seems to me like it's filler. Like they're kind of backing off all the stories that they've been doing for a while, kind of doing something different that shakes everything up. So that then when they get settled into their new location in California, the new writers and the new titles and everything can start to come out.
I'm not sure I'm trying to find where exactly they are going to be moving to, but I have not. Moving to Burbank. No.
Burbank. No. Okay, so outside LA.
No, that was published in 2013, so that's not right. I'm not sure.
I mean, they haven't. I think it's Burbank. Burbank sounds right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they've been talking about it for a while.
DC Comics moving operations to Burbank in 2015. Yeah, wow. So they've been talking about it for 2 years now that they were going to be doing this.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. And they've got a lot of stuff planned for after Convergence. Like they've released like a whole big list, and we talked about it a little bit in a previous episode about like the line of new titles that DC's coming out with. And it looks really interesting because not all of them are even in the DC universe, and some of them are going to be, like some of them have different themes, like kind of like what Marvel did, started doing a couple of years ago, where they have a bunch of books. And even though a lot of them are superhero books, they're not all like the same genre. You've got different art styles. You've got more fun books, more serious books, more sci-fi books, more comedy books. You've got a lot more variety within the comic book. Just because they're all superhero comics doesn't mean they all have to be told in the same style, the same genre. So I think there's going to be some interesting stuff to come, but it sounds a lot like, I don't think the status quo here is really changing. I think, at the end of Convergence, it seems like the event is kind of filler, to tide people over while they move, and so that they can get settled and start making the new series that they've got planned for after this. And if they're going to have to, put out some kind of filler, why not do something that makes Marvel's stuff look less original? Maybe it's a competition thing. Maybe it's a competitive shot. I don't know. Whereas Marvel's, I'm really interested to see because Secret Wars number 0 comes out on Free Comic Book Day, which is May 2nd, so about just under a month from now, and they're looking to, I mean, at least on paper from the description, it looks like they're really shaking things up. Like they're pretty much destroying the planet. Like, the Marvel Universe 616, Earth 616 Marvel Universe is not going to exist anymore. All that's going to be left is this, smashed together planetoid of, different chunks of landmass from what used to be Earth, and the entire universe around it is gone, like erased from existence. So, I mean, if that holds, which it seems like they're trying to stick to, that would be a pretty major freaking change as far as the Marvel Universe and the status quo and what they're going to be doing going forward. It seems like they're trying to make a more lasting change out of this, possibly than DC is. But I guess we'll find out in a month. Yeah, the next month I really need to I need to get caught up on all my Marvel stuff, because the interesting thing with both these companies doing these events isn't the events themselves so much as the fallout. What comes after, all the new titles that they're launching, new creative teams, new number ones, new series. It's gonna be really interesting to see. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of good stuff there. The trick is going to be going to the comic book store the the week after Convergence and Secret Wars end, with limited money to spend, and walking around and going, which of these books should I get? Which ones are going to be good?
Because there'll be about 37 books you want to buy that week.
Yeah, there's going to be a ton that all look good, and I'm going to want to get all the number ones, which is going to really hurt my wallet. And then, and if I don't catch up so that I can actually read them as they're coming out, I'm going to end up buying like 6 months worth of comics on a series just to find out later on that, oh, this sucks. Why did I buy this?
Yeah.
Or, ooh, that one looks really good. Shit, I skipped that one because it looked dumb. So I think it'll be important for everybody to get caught up and check those out as they're coming out, so that you can see what it is that you want to stay with, what you want to keep buying and reading.
All right, let's talk news for a minute. The first bit of news that I want to talk about, I'm kind of excited about this. I actually literally, just as we were starting recording here, I stumbled across this, so we're going to cover it right now. This July, there is going to be a first time ever crossover between Star Trek and the Green Lantern universe. It's going to be a collaborative 6-issue miniseries that's going to be between IDW and DC Entertainment, and it is going to be called Green Lantern: The Spectrum War, and it'll be available in stores in July. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it could be really cool. I like Star Trek. I like Green Lantern. They both happen in space. I mean, it fits. It could be really interesting. I mean, clearly, I feel pretty strongly that Green Lantern would smash the fuck out of Star Trek, but
I don't think it's a versus.
I think it should be.
At least, probably not. Maybe it should be.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really say much about what the storyline is going to be or anything like that, but I see some art here. It's pretty badass. It's got Hal Jordan flying underneath of it. It's got Spock and Captain Kirk and Uhura.
So it's called the Spectrum War.
Yes.
It's called the Spectrum War. So when I think Spectrum, I think all the colors. So when I think all the colors and I think Lantern Corps, I think, okay, are we going to have the other Lantern Corps in the different color rings? And then I started thinking about how.
Actually, yes, for sure, because there is in the background. There's a big dude. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he's red.
Yeah,
he has a patch over his eye, and he's wearing a yellow lantern ring, a Sinestro ring. So.
But then I started thinking about the fact that the Star Trek personnel all wear different colored uniforms.
They do. Blue,
and then I was thinking about what if the colored shirts corresponded to the ring colors, and I'm like, wait, maybe that explains why the red
shirts are always dying.
Red Lantern Corps is so pissed off because the red shirts are always dying all the time.
Fantastic rationale. Fantastic. I like where your head's at.
Now it all makes sense.
I'm excited about this. I think it could be really neat. I mean, it could be really terrible. Let's be honest. It could be really terrible. But
can you imagine
it could
Captain
be really
Kirk
cool.
with a power ring?
That would be awesome. I that's something I am for sure going to check that out. It may not be anything that's super popular or do really well sales wise, but I think there is a niche group of comic book fans that really enjoy the Green Lantern stuff and also really enjoy Star Trek that will find this intriguing, and so I feel like it does have a place. I don't think they're like way out in left field here. I think it's something that could be cool. I would be more excited if they were doing it into like a little mini series of animated episodes, though, because that would be cool. That would be neat.
That would be interesting.
That would. Next bit of news: WonderCon 2016 will not be located in Anaheim. Instead, they're going to be moving it to Los Angeles this coming year. They're citing the reason for that is because, partially because of there is a large construction project, I believe, that is slated to be going on in Anaheim during the time frame when they're looking at having WonderCon. So they're going to move it over to Los Angeles. This isn't the first time that WonderCon's been moved, though. I think it started in like Oakland, and then it went to San Francisco, I believe, for a while, and then from San Francisco it went to Anaheim, where it's at now, and now it's going to Los Angeles. So I didn't read anything as far as whether this was going to be a permanent move or if it was a just a temporary thing, or I don't know.
I mean, I'm not a California native, so maybe I'm sticking my foot in my mouth on this one here, but
go ahead, stick it right in there.
Shit. Like, who gives a shit? Do people, like, those cities are all, like, it's like one giant city spread out across, Southern California. Like, sure, they've got different names, but, like, does anybody in California really care whether it's in one or the other than, I have to drive just slightly further? Like, is there really, like, a city pride thing? Like, no, it needs to stay in Anaheim. Fuck Los Angeles. Like, does anybody really give a shit what the name of the city it's in?
I don't know that fans really care that much, other than, like you said, that they may have to drive for the cities definitely care, because they said like $32 million is what it's projected to bring in.
Local businesses, I'm sure it's important for them, and I'm not trying to, say that it's not, and obviously, anybody, any local businesses who plan that, but I mean, like,
way to be a dick,
as far as attendees that would be reading this on a comic book news website or listening to a comic book podcast,
why do they need to read a comic book news website when they can come right here to the Comic Book Nerd Nation for all the good stuff? Everything that's worth knowing is said on this podcast.
Somebody that's learning it from our podcast, though, like, probably doesn't have a business out there. They probably already knew, like, do fans really care where it is?
Ask our fans. Do you guys care? Let us know in the comments section below.
We missed our chance last week. The show aired on April Fool's Day, and we didn't do any good April Fool's pranks in our podcast last week.
Fuck, we failed. We're doing it wrong.
We did. Granted, awful. I wasn't actually on that podcast, and I haven't actually listened to it yet, so I don't know that was a true statement that I just said.
April Fools, judging by you're not reaction, on the podcast at all anymore. I'm going to mute all your shit.
I'm guessing from your reaction that there was no April Fool's jokes played on that podcast.
There was no April Fool's jokes played on that podcast, other than the fact that you got fucking fired.
Right. Great April Fool's comic book stuff, though. Did anybody catch the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool announcement on Extra?
By anybody, you're just referring to me because I'm the only person here. I'm going to say no for the whole crowd.
Well, you're the only person who can answer me at the current time, but, anybody listening right now to this,
I hope they're shaking their head yes and raising their hand.
Awesome.
Me. Ooh.
Ooh, call on me.
Professor Topher,
yes, that guy back there, third from the left, fourth row. Mm-hmm, you.
Why do you have to go and make us sound all small and say fourth row? Why can't you be like, you up there in the 17th row in the second balcony up there, all the way in the back? Yeah.
I'm nearsighted. That's all the farther I can see.
That's your own damn fault.
That's it. No, but you didn't watch it, did you?
I did not. I didn't get a chance to see it. Fill me in. No, tell me about it. Tell me about it.
So Extra, the show on, I don't know, it's on some network. It's like a celebrity like Hollywood news kind of thing. I don't fucking watch it shit. You know what I'm talking about? Extra though, like the
Vaguely. I
celebrity
mean,
news,
yeah,
Hollywood
I think
news
I've heard
thing.
of
I
it.
don't. Anyway, one of the hosts is Mario Lopez. You know Mario Lopez, right? From Saved by the
Yeah, from
Bell.
Saved by the Bell, of course.
Um, yeah, so he's one of the hosts on Extra, and he does an interview with Ryan Reynolds about the Deadpool movie, and Ryan Reynolds is on set of Deadpool. It was actually kind of cool. So they start the interview out, and Mario Lopez is asking him some questions, and he's like, we first met this Deadpool character in the Wolverine movie, right? And Ryan's like, yeah, but that is totally not the character we're doing here. Yeah,
Nice.
which was kind of
Good.
funny. But it was kind of funny because there's like this awkward thing where Mario's asking him these questions, and Ryan Reynolds is just kind of like shying away from the answers, and he's like, so I heard the movie theaters wanted to give it a PG-13 rating, and Ryan's like, yeah, they being owned by Disney now, like would want to do the family-friendly thing, and it's really important for this to be an approachable movie for all comic book fans of all ages, and they're going on and on and on about this. And I mean, we've talked before about how the movie was going to be PG-13, and everybody was kind of like, "Oh, that sucks," like how can you do Deadpool justice at PG-13? So it goes back to Mario Lopez sitting in the studio, and he's talking about how great that is, and how it's good for the children and for Disney and family friendly, yay, and all this stuff, and it was almost starting to sound like like a evangelical commercial almost or something. And then so as he's talking, like behind his chair, like Deadpool in costume walks past his chair, like live action Deadpool walks past his chair carrying something big and heavy, and just walks up and just bam, just smacks the shit out of Mario Lopez, knocks him right out of his chair, and then he walks up to the camera and he's like, just kidding, April Fools, Deadpool will definitely be rated R.
That's fantastic.
And then he holds up a picture, and it's like a hand-drawn crayon drawing of him and like a couple of stick figures, and he goes, "It's okay, Jesse. Slater can't hurt you anymore."
Wow.
It was kind of fantastic.
That sounds pretty good. I'm
So
going to have to go watch that, actually, right
it
after
was
we're
pretty
done
fun,
recording.
and that comes out next February.
I
Next
believe
February,
so. I think so, yeah.
sometime early next year. I think it's February of 2016, and I'm super looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think
In fact,
that's
they
gonna
just
be
released.
fun.
The other day, they just released a picture, one of the first pictures of Ryan Reynolds,
Yeah, without his mask on.
as Wade
As
Wilson
Wade Wilson
without the
without the
mask
mask,
on.
yeah. What'd you think of
It's a
that?
really grainy. It's a really grainy picture, and he's got he's wearing a hoodie underneath a jacket, and he's got the hood up, so you can't really see the entire head. But from what I've heard, he did shave his head for it, and you can kind of tell like there's some like scarring and stuff all over his face. It looks pretty decent. Like I mean, it's a really grainy picture, so it's hard to see details and how messed up the face really is. But it's good that they're not trying to make him, pretty boy Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. That they're actually,
Yeah, I agree.
showing the fact that that physically he's pretty fucking disfigured. So I like that they're, it seems like they're trying, and I mean the fact that it's rated R means. It means they've already said, "Look, we want to do this right. We
Yeah,
don't
they're
want it.
committed
We
to
don't
it.
necessarily, we don't necessarily want to dumb it down, make it more accessible. Like this isn't This isn't necessarily like we want everybody. Like we want to make it as approachable as possible. They want to make it as good as possible, as accurate as
Yeah.
possible, and so far it's showing. And I mean,
I'm
those
excited
comic
for it. I think it's going to be really
that
good.
gets us excited.
And like you said, I think the rated R thing, I think that shows that they're committed to doing it the right way versus doing it the way that will make it more accessible to more people. Which I think is
Well,
good
this
because there's plenty of family friendly comic book material out there to make movies out of. I mean, look at Guardians of the Galaxy, for example. Guardians of the Galaxy was fantastic to take a kid to. It was fantastic to take your family to. It was funny. It was lighthearted at times. It was sad. It was emotional. It was action packed. It had a little bit of everything for everybody. It was a very, very fun movie. But I think what Deadpool needs to be to be the right thing is it needs to be geared towards adults. It needs to have that adult humor level in it. It needs to be funny, but it needs to be funny to adults.
The other thing is, if you're making a Deadpool movie, Deadpool, who is a very comical character, like every Deadpool book is basically comedic, and so it's hard to have a character that's that almost slapstick funny at times and still have it come off as good if you don't have it contrasted against a bunch of gory violence and things that aren't funny, because if you put it in a silly movie, in a kids movie, or even a PG-13 movie
Yeah.
that's more accessible to kids,
It's gonna
you
seem
have a
stupid.
movie. You have a movie that's a little comical with a comical character and Ryan Reynolds playing the lead in it, and before long you've got Green Lantern and it comes off like The Mask, and no one wants to see that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The last bit of news that I wanted to cover today is the announcement came for the Superman v Batman trailer. The first trailer will be released on May 15th. Brian's not here to shit all over it, so I'm going to go ahead and say I'm excited about it. Fuck him. I think it's going to be a good movie. I can't wait to see the trailer. I can't wait to see the movie. I really hope that the trailer is enough to make some people realize that DC might do this right. There's a good possibility that with enough examples out there in the public's eye of ways to do comic book movies correctly, from Marvel, obviously, that DC's got a damn good shot at making an incredible movie. Yes, Man of Steel had some problems. It had some glaring issues that people didn't like. All in all, though, Man of Steel was not a terrible movie. Man of Steel was far better than some of the shit that Marvel's put out. I mean, Wolverine, Origins.
Well, okay. It's
I mean,
is
there's definitely
is
there's
it better than anything they've put out in the current Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I would say that Man of Steel is in the mix, in the lower end mix of the current universe, yes, but not by no stretch of the imagination is it a front runner. It's no Captain America Winter Soldier. It's no Guardians of the Galaxy. It's no Avengers. But I certainly think it stands with
Stand
like
with
Iron Man 3
or Dark World.
yeah, it stands with or even the Hulk movie, the one with Edward Norton in it. I think it stands with those movies. Absolutely, I think it was a good. It's a very watchable film.
I didn't dislike it. I thought it was a good movie. Yeah, I don't. It's not like, oh my god, that was amazing. I want to go rewatch it every day.
Exactly.
But at no point was I thinking, oh god, this is crap.
Right,
But
it stands on its own two feet as a decent movie. I think that building on that, there was movies that Marvel did that were like that caliber, that were stepping stones to where they're at now. And had they not taken those stepping stones, we wouldn't have the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we have now. That being said, DC can look across the aisle and see those movies that Marvel's doing and use that as a template, use that as this is what works, what can we do that's similar to this, and make a good movie. I think that they need less stepping stones because they don't have to blaze the path that Marvel Studios has already blazed for the comic book genre film. DC just kind of needs to figure out their own way to fit into that category correctly, and I think this could be the first movie that really does it. I really feel like this could be the Iron Man, so to speak, of the DC cinematic movies. That's why I'm so excited about it.
This movie is gonna
It's going to be huge
I mean,
no matter
the
what.
movie's going to do well. The movie's going to do well. It's going to be huge no matter what because, like you said, the stock of comic book movies right now is just through the roof.
Yeah, at an all-time high.
Like riding on, not to say this in a pejorative way, but riding on Marvel's coattails, the fact that Marvel's set the stage where like everybody's excited about comic book movies all the time, like coming off the heels of that, releasing a movie with Superman and Batman in it right now, there's no way that doesn't like set box office records,
right.
Like, an opening weekend. Like it has to. But I think it's really important for DC to make it good because if the movie's good, then suddenly all the critics and all the comic book news sites, us, maybe even Brian, probably not Brian, but at least the other three of us, will be like, wow, look, they can play ball.
They can do it too, right?
They can do it too. And then even if Marvel collapses and falls apart and goes away and the rest of their movies don't happen for some reason,
you've still got an alternative.
DC can continue to ride that wave as long as they've got a strong showing.
Yeah.
If DC comes out of the gate again and like we don't need to do a bunch of other intro movies like Hulk and Iron Man and this, like we're going straight to a team up movie. We're going straight to a crossover. We're pitting hero against hero, and it crashes and burns and it's not that good, then making a play that big and failing at it is going to fail even more spectacularly. I think we're kind of in a really high risk, high reward situation right now.
Agree.
If it's not good, then it's going to be like, man, they still can't get their shit right. They blew their load on a bad script, and now it's like they can put other stuff out, but confidence is just going to be low And your next movie, I don't remember what the next DC movie is, but it's not Justice League, right? It's going to be one of the...
I think it's Suicide
Squad,
Shazam
or something. Suicide Squad, maybe. Yeah, like I feel like people aren't going to be as excited. That one's not going to do as well.
Right.
That one's not going to do as well first weekend if Batman v Superman is lacking.
Yeah, I agree completely. I couldn't agree more, and I'm looking forward to seeing this trailer next month, just to hopefully get some insight into where their heads at, kind of, so to speak, on this movie.
What I'm looking forward to seeing this Friday, Daredevil.
Oh, yes. I can't wait to watch
the whole thing. 13 episodes. The whole first season's coming out Friday, and I'm probably going to be like watching it. I believe so. So 13 hours. So I'm going to start watching like when I get off work Friday, and then we're gonna all talk about it on Saturday morning.
I imagine probably on the next episode we will probably cover the first at least 3 to 4 episodes.
Yeah, I mean the reviews are, some of the reviews are out already. They did a premiere where they screened the first 2 episodes as like a big premiere event, and then the first 5 episodes were released to critics. And I mean, I've just been reading nothing but good stuff about this show. I've read that it's like everything that made Batman Begins good, except with time to actually fully explore all the themes. I've read that it's everything that Arrow wishes it could be, and Arrow's already a really goddamn good show.
Fuck.
So like,
take my money.
Not to rat on Arrow, because I mean, like, we're not saying Arrow's bad or that Arrow is lacking
the
anything.
bar that high.
Arrow's here, which means if Daredevil's even better, fuck me, that's going to be really good. I read somewhere else that one of the critics who went to the premiere said that if you took the first 2 episodes and you spliced them together, edited them together to make them a movie instead of 2 episodes of a TV show, very minimal editing, that as an origin story, it would be one of the best Marvel movies to date. That it rivals the first Iron Man in terms of like quality of
cinematography,
plot, everything. Yeah, those are pretty serious freaking claims.
Yeah,
So
I'm looking forward
I've
to
got
this. It's going to be
super
awesome.
high hopes for this.
Yeah, I
It
really
it
can't
looks
wait.
pretty awesome. And I've heard that they've pulled no punches again. Like we were talking about Daredevil, not Daredevil, Deadpool. Like we were talking about Deadpool. Like having something that's a little bit more serious. I've heard that there's some pretty grisly action scenes in this. Like it's not all like flashy,
Good.
effects and stunts and everything. That everything looks very realistic, very down to earth. I don't necessarily want to use the word gritty because people trying to make things too gritty. People go, oh, like it's the whole to
Yeah.
make everything more dark and brooding and moody.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard, they do it in a good way, and I'm super stoked over this.
It's going to be awesome. Well, we'll just have to next week. We're going to have to talk about that for sure. But as for this episode, that's about it. I'm Fox 2, and we got Topher.
I'm gonna put you on the spot here and have you come up with a reason, comic book related, why Pirate and Brian are not here.
Ooh, fantastic. Oh, me right now?
Yeah, you right now.
Oh, me right now. Oh man, wow. That was.
That's why I said I'm putting you on the
Yeah,
spot.
I thought you were talking to our viewers, and I'm all like, "Ooh, that's a great idea."
Nope,
That's
you already asked him to do that. Yeah, it's a great idea.
I'm going to go with because we talked about Green Lantern. I'm going to go with the fact that they are dead and have been brought back as Black Lanterns.
We covered that one about you this weekend, but
Really?
I like it anyway.
Damn. All right then. Good day, sir.
Good day.